Hello and welcome to an update of the Peryonix bin and the red wiggler only bin. So we'll start with the Peryonix bin first and see what these guys have been up to. A little climbing, very typical. We've been having a lot of rain. And there's a baby right there. A little baby. I've been keeping the newspaper on top here to prevent them from climbing too much, but although it does help some, it won't prevent it completely. They are known climbers. So let's see what these guys have done with our bedding and with our feeding. The bedding looks moist and the material at the bottom is really getting worked over. Very dark. You can see the difference between this material and this material. Aside from their temperament, they are quite good at composting and multiplying. I don't remember where I fed, but that's okay. Just do a quick overview of the bin. And by the way, this is just a 10-gallon plastic tote. I've always liked these simple, inexpensive systems. They seem to work really well for me. Okay, I'm not finding too many in any one spot. That's probably because they've worked completely through all the food. And since I didn't mark the food, didn't mark where I put it, I'm not exactly sure where it was. But oh well, they are spread out throughout. I can tell they are pretty much everywhere. And that's absolutely fine. With all this bedding, you can see how much bedding they have here. I won't need to add any more for now, but I am going to add food. We'll pick a corner. And let's see. We have here, this is a cucumber, previously frozen and thawed. And maybe I'll give them a carrot. Same thing. You always want to freeze your root vegetables before giving it to your worms, because otherwise they'll be in there forever. The worms will not be able to get to them. I'll give it just a little bit of a sprinkling of oyster shell, and since I have plenty of bedding here, I don't need to add any more, and I'll just cover it all up. And we are done with the blue worms. On to the red wigglers. Okay, so here is the red wiggler only bin. And it's again the same kind of bin. It's 10-gallon. And I really like this bin because the surface area is really nice and wide, because the red wigglers typically tend to like hanging out in the top inches of material as opposed to night crawlers that sort of like to go down deeper. So these particular bins work super well for the red wigglers. But you can see, oh, there's a cocoon right there. That's a dark one, ready to hatch any day. There's a baby. And of course, here's a nice mature worm. You can see the clitellum here. That's a mature wiggler. And the material here is really being worked over. Everything was quite, here's more babies, cocoon. Yeah, these guys are more babies, are just prolific breeders. I love how consistently they do what they're supposed to do. Just a ton of babies in here. And I started this experiment with 55 adult wigglers. And I'm sure that fairly soon I'm going to have just a bin full of worms. Just babies wherever you look. Yeah. Babies and cocoons. So I'm just going to turn the material over just a little bit because of all the leaves and large pieces of the egg carton in here. The material still is fluffy enough where I don't have to worry about compaction too much. Plus there's not too much material in here anyway. But it's all beginning to get, here's another cocoon in there. But it's looking really great, and all of this is castings. So this is where we fed. Probably going to find a lot more of the worms here. Oh yeah, look at that. And many babies. Oh gosh, there's a ton of them, just a ton of them in here. So many babies. All of this is babies. Very nice. Yeah, sorry to disturb you guys. But you know the routine by now. I only bother them once a week, so they'll forgive me. Okay, I guess we can go over here for their next feeding. And let's see, what are we going to give these guys? We have some green beans. We also have more of the cucumber. Maybe I'll give them a carrot as well. Even though they don't have any eyes, the carrots is good for them, I think. I think this should be enough. I think this should be more than enough. Whenever you have a smaller population of worms, it's better to underfeed than overfeed. Remembering that bedding is also a food source for them. So I will actually add, let's mark the spot, but I will add some dry bedding into this bin and just work it in a little bit. I'm sure they don't mind me tossing them up just a little bit. It's all good. Like I said, I only do it once a week when I feed them. Other than that, I pretty much leave them alone. and I don't poke in there, even though I would love to. I have to be honest though, when I just started, 2 years ago, when I just started composting with worms, I was fascinated by these guys, and I would visit them like once a day. And now I sort of let them be and just feed them and turn the bedding over once a week. Okay, so this is it for the blue and the red worms, and we will leave them alone and see them next week. Thanks for joining me.